And welcome back, students, for our next lesson in information hiding encapsulation. We are now going to discuss preconditions and postconditions. So, getting started, up to this point, our commenting has been fairly simple. Doing things like describing loop behavior, output statements, those sorts of things. It's really simple behaviors, and probably like, why do I need to comment this? Because it's something so simple. Oh yeah, I'm declaring a variable. The purpose of that was just to kind of get you in the process and the habit of thinking about how comments work. However, now that we're getting into larger and larger programs, those kind of comments that we've done, yes, they're trivial and, well, they're now going to be kind of optional. So you don't have to like, oh, I declared my variables at the start of my program. Great. I know you know how to do that. We've been doing that for a while. However, it's still recommended that you comment your loops so that way you can document expected behavior. Just because loops sometimes have some weird things that go on with them. But like for an if-else statement, you probably don't need to, as long as you know what that if-else statement is doing. However, we definitely should start documenting our methods, as otherwise we may forget how they work or what they're even for. Because now we're getting into classes, and so it's like, hey, if you got a method that does something like, for example, sets the date. Well, set date might clue you in, but what does that set date exactly do? So that's what we're going to start getting into here. And in order to that, we need to discuss precondition and postcondition. So one good way of writing a method comment is to break it down into two kinds of information, the pre and the postcondition. The precondition states simply what is assumed to be true when the method is called. So going into this method, before you actually invoke it, going into it, what is true about the variables and the objects in your program. All right, and it states the method should not be used and cannot be expected to perform correctly unless that precondition holds. So unless these things are true, this method is never going to work. Conversely, we have postcondition, which describes the effect of a call. So whether it's a void method or a return method, it's going to give some kind of description. This means that the postcondition tells what's going to be true after the method is executed in a situation in which the precondition holds. So the precondition says, hey, if this is true, the method can happen. Postcondition says, hey, the method happened. What was the result? So for a method that returns value, the postcondition describes the value that's returned by the method. So whether it's an int or a string or a Boolean, it's going to help describe that result. All right, here's an example heading. So here I have precondition. All instance variables of the calling object have values. Now, obviously, you would make this a little bit more specific if you could. Like if you know, for example, it's going to be referring to private instance variables. So let's use our date fifth try class that we would talk about. Day, year, and month. You can refer to those to make it a little more specific so you have a better understanding of what's going on. And then a postcondition, the data in the calling object has been written to the screen. Okay, that one's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I would go with that postcondition and probably say the instance variables day, month, and year of the calling object have values. So I know what those calling objects or what those instance variables of the calling object are. Right? And then we just have our method right here, which is public void right output, and then of course underneath it you would have all the pieces that would belong within that method. Now, you don't need to know necessarily the definition of right output to use this method, right? Because all you need to know to use this method is given by the precondition and the postcondition. Precondition says all the instance variables of the calling object have values, so that means that day, month, and year have to have a value to them. Okay, well that's true. And postcondition says the data in the calling object has been written to the screen. So it's like, okay, so that means that data in those variables has been output. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't have to actually look at the code and see the system out a print line statement to know that that's what's going to be in there. And here's another example. Now you'll notice this one's slightly different. Precondition, all instance variables of the calling object have values. Okay, so that's the same, so day, month, year. Returns a string describing the data in the calling object. Public string, toString. You'll notice only the biggest change is the omission of the word postcondition. It's not there. We have a precondition, but we don't have the word postcondition. This is because when a value is returned, the phrase is typically omitted. So if you're returning a value, typically it's not in there. Now here's something even more to kind of wrap your mind around this. Now note, when using the phrases pre and post condition, those are actually optional phrases when writing your comments. However, you should always think of terms pre and post when designing your methods. And when you first start off here, I recommend you do put precondition, postcondition, just so you get the habit of the structure of how to write the method comments. Once you get in the habit, then you can start optionally putting pieces in. But it's just good to put in precondition, postcondition. And you could even abbreviate it to pre and post if you want, just to kind of help save you on some typing in your comment. So if you just wanted to put pre, all instance variables of the calling object of values, post, returns a string describing the data of the calling object. If you want to do that just to save yourself, that's perfectly acceptable as well. But that concludes our notes for today, folks. Until next time.